Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniXTCG, and today we're going to talk a little bit about both tournaments from basically Bandai Card Game Fest. Not exactly just the top lineup, because I have most of that information up on my socials, but I did want to talk about the meta shifts that were very much so seen during the run of the event. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's see if we can get this over 100 likes. The deck profile for Yellow Vegeta definitely did well, and I am excited to see what else we can do. A couple quick notes. On my Patreon, I did add 3 of these leader binders to my giveaway for September. So if you want to join up, you can always just make sure that you post and make sure that you're joining on the giveaway. We have a lot of different prizes going out, including these 3 leader binders with the starter leaders and the energy marker. The Dragon Ball energy marker looks amazing. Past that, we're doing plenty of content over Universe X, Dokkan. We're talking about Daima when new news comes up. Sparking Zero's coming out soon. So if you want to go over there and check that out, maybe subscribe. Yeah, that there too. So with that being said, let's hop into the content. So yeah, to keep it real, a lot of people knew that going into Bandai Card Game Fest for the 2 regionals that Blue Vegeta would likely be the top dog now. And that, yeah, that's pretty easy to see. We've seen a lot of the flexibility that Blue has provided at this point. Now it's way more well-rounded. There have been slight additions from set 3 that have really tuned it past what it was before. On a smaller note, it is 4-drop Gohan being able to perform like a miniature sickle while having a 30k body. But on top of that, the main proprietor has to be Videl. Videl is just one of the best cards that Blue's gotten in a long time, and she recycles almost everything a Vegeta deck can need. You want to draw one more time? Great, you've got Trunks. You want to get your peel-off loop back in your hand, because if you guys don't know, if you have 1 peel-off in hand and 3 engraved, you get a peel-off and a peel-off and a peel-off into peel-off, whereas if you have 2 peel-offs in hand, you can get a peel-off and then like another target, like a Bulma. Eventually, you know, you can kind of fan out your selections. So Videl can get that back. I personally like using 2-drop Krillin, and Videl can get that back. Videl can get your 1-drop Bulmas. Videl can get your 1-drop Mai's. Videl gets anything that a blue deck would need out of its trash, out of its drop, and uses it like a toolbox. So yes, Videl is a monstrous card. Now you factor that in with the fact that we have, you know, 5-drop Vegeta has never been better positioned since its release. The fact that 35 has always been it's a saving grace for Vegeta. It's always been the saving grace for Vegeta. So you have a 35k pressure, Videl making the recycling even stronger, Gohan making a threat on a threat that can also get rid of opposing threats. We now have the best well-rounded just blue deck you can possibly have. And the thing that also needs to be said about this is that going into this format where we do believe that blue is to be the top dog, namely Vegeta, we now have to look at what was traditionally Blue's worst opponent, which was Green. And at this particular stage of the game, you've got androids being the foremost runner on that. Now, androids in the past have always been able to, just like anything that's been able to resolve multiple Brolys, has been able to give Blue a very hard time in an almost unwinnable game, outside the likes of maybe things like Goku Black on a high roll, or a very aggressively tuned Vegeta. However, now that we are at this point, you know, with the Android 2-drop, which revolutionized the way androids play, androids have the same early game that any green deck does, but androids mid-game can put body after body after body on the board while also ramping, and their end game is the end game that Blue has feared since the start of this game. And so yes, androids are still very strong, but I think what a lot of people are starting to find is that it is not an auto win for androids. Heck, it is also, at this point, it's not even heavily favored for androids. I would say that you're looking closer to a 60-40 with androids into blue. Sometimes, depending on how the deck is tuned, maybe even a 55-45 with green in the lead. And that is just really rough. The Videl allows you to really start gaining your tempo back. You're able to attack and then protect Videl with the very card you grabbed back, forcing your green opponent to try to poke for neutrals, combo if they want to get over Videl, and then still have to hit their ramp. So in all essence, you protect your life or you protect the Videl, because for the first couple turns, they won't be able to have more than one attack. Meanwhile, you're just pelting them with attacks. If you see a second Videl, it's even worse. And until they get to 6 energy, they cannot interact with your field. And if you've been playing androids, you know that if you draw optimally, the turn where you pass 6 energy could have been your way from 5 to 6 to 7 to charge to 8 if you've had the androids into, you know, destructive strength or something like that. So it's very rough, because you could put yourself back a turn to give blue a little bit more time to, you know, just survive, charge up to a higher energy amount if you rip the androids at that point where, you know, you could take out 2 Videls. So with that being said, yes, androids are no longer the auto win for blue. Vegeta just has that pressure with the 35k leader swings and everything that blue is currently building up to. So now though, there is still a counter pick for the counter pick. With green being seen as the blue slayer, even if that's not quite true, what has happened now is that people have started to play a deck on the ladder that has at least a fairly decent matchup versus blue, but also a very, very, very strong matchup versus green. And that is the black deck in general. If I had to call out one, it would probably be Bardock. Not to say that GT Goku can't do it, but Bardock having his essentially his scry, being able to check the top card of your deck, as well as him being a 25k leader with the occasional ability to look at the top of your deck, see a Bardock scroll and be like, you know what, yeah, I'm going in. Makes him attack for some crazy stupid pressure, and that's almost like a mini Vegeta. That also being said, black has a very, very, very nasty penchant that if you cannot respond to an SCR the turn it comes down and they follow it with a second SCR, you might just lose the game there, because every single turn they'll be drawing once for turn, once for leader swing, twice for the SCRs that are on the board, and then maybe even another time if they land a Bardock or a Pan. And there's just a lot of good things. If you have 2 SSRs or 2 SCRs on board and you attack with one of them, gain an energy marker, play Pan, attack with her, pop the energy marker, draw 1, then put a card back into their hand, attack with your leader, draw 1, and then at the end of the turn you draw 2. That's crazy. Seeing draw for turn, draw for leader, draw for Pan, Super Saiyan Secret Rare, Super Saiyan Secret Rare, 5 cards is a lot, a tenth of your deck seen if that combo is unbroken. And that is something that we really can't ignore with how this deck works. And then against the green variants, well, against the green decks, when you land Bardock, like if you just were to 1-2 and you're only second, you burn your coin for Bardock and you charge to 3 and you play another Bardock, chances are a green deck will be getting to 6-ish energy with 1 life left. And then you just have to hang tight until you find out that shot. Hit your pressure as long as you can, and when you think you cannot go any longer without dying, you just let it rip and you shotgun them for all of your might plus more. So that is actually just kind of the issue. So what we saw here was the tables dominated by those 3 colors. Now there were red up in the top tables on and off. There were some tops. There was like a 3rd place on day 2. You know, there was I think 1 Beerus in day 1 top 16, and then you even had a yellow Vegeta win day 1. And I did want to talk about that because essentially yellow and red had their place, but their matchups needed to be seen correctly. And one of their cases with the yellow Vegeta that I did the deck profile on, like shoutouts to Mr. Crow, it was just really, really good. While he has admitted that he dodged Jiren all day, and I don't believe he said he saw Beerus after that. He might have faced Beerus, but I know he said he dodged Jiren all day. You have this interesting thing where, because he doesn't see Jiren where the SCR could auto lock him out of the game, he was able to, against black, pretty much have a supply chain of the new Bulmas that gain back extra cards. So he was never losing them. He would defend most of his turn with extra cards, using Death Balls to lock down Bardocks or retap Bardocks after they've untapped, using time rewinds to protect his assets while protecting his life, and then he would just tap both Bulmas and get those back, and that was huge. Against blue, he told me that he would kind of shift gears and immediately start trying to flood the boards with the Majin Boos because they couldn't be interacted with. And so between those, that was pretty much that. And then when you face green, while his deck was a little slower, again, recycling the extras over and over again protected his life, and him being able to play the Majin Boos and know that they were fine was able to just put so much pressure on the green decks. Pair that with Vegeta 3-drop, and the Bulmas were very hard for green to remove without actually directing attacks to it. So realistically, we are kind of looking at the fact that, yes, he dodged his worst matchup all day for 8 rounds, but his deck was built in a way where it was very hard for black to interact with him. It was very hard for green to interact with him. And blue had to draw very well, and he had to not see Majin Boos to get interacted with by blue. And that's actually a very, very, very powerful kind of thing when you think about it. I really like the way that he did set that up and push through. Now, when it comes to red, there were a fair amount of Jirens. I saw Jirens walking around looking through the tables, but Jiren was not a great choice going into this. I showed you guys in my Android video that as long as you're playing 2 big bang attacks, you line up quite a lot of shots because the Krillin can help search them out. On 6 energy, you can big bang attack, and then you can tap 5 for a 5-drop Gohan and blow up Jiren without ever even entering battle. If you have 9 energy, you can big bang energy and then hit him with a Broly. There's a fair amount of ways to get rid of it. And if you're playing Gohan, which we will get to later in the video, you were able to use your 3-drop as well. So Jiren's best matchup has outs if built correctly. But Jiren's worst matchup was considered the best deck of the format. Therefore, it was just not a good route to take Jiren. That's just that. However, when it comes to Beerus, I think that Beerus is almost in a different position. Beerus has the critical pressure to really, really push blue. Blue's gonna try to do the same thing that it does all the time, dropping Harsh Man, protect its life, but you're gonna burn them out more because they can never just decide, okay, I'm gonna take these. And then when you leave combo power on the field, Beerus is going to be able to neg that indiscriminately and control your board. And then if they do hit the 5-drop Beerus, a lot of people are running Sickle. I personally like Absolute Lightning at this moment because I feel like anything I could Sickle, I could work with Gohan with. I can work with that. However, these things that drop and I can't touch them without a Mai, I would like to just point and click it. But cheating out Beerus is going to be able to put a threat on board that you really, really can't move for a lot of decks until later on in the game. And then when you also think about Beerus, his critical pressure works the same way against green. You can whittle them down, get rid of the combo power that was in their life, get rid of their swingers the moment they put them on the board, and then just try to push for game. Now against black, and for you guys on my Patreon, I've said this a gajillion times, you'll notice there's a distinct theme with how I've built decks this format. If I cannot use 1 to 2 cards to get rid of an SS4 secret rare at any time, I do not think the deck is compatible right now. Because while I actually don't think SS4 or Bardock are at the top of the meta right now, despite their representation, I do feel that a lot of decks aren't thinking about it. They're like, well, you know, blue has Sickle. Well, green has Broly. Well, green could last a couple turns before you can even see those sort of things, before you can even see an out to destroy the SS4 secret rare. Just because you're playing red, if you're not playing God Kamehamehas, if you're not playing ways like Fuwa and Gohan, you're just leaving yourself open to get Mai's by Super Saiyan 4 and have it on the board for longer than need be. With blue, Sickle does the trick, Gohan and Mai does the trick, 5 cost Vegeta does the trick. When they play 4 cost SCR and you charge to 5 and you play 5 cost Vegeta and bottom deck it, that's beautiful. So the thing is here, black is, I don't think a lot of people keyed their deck to it, and I think a lot more people are going to be conscious about that moving forward. So from here, we are going to continue talking about just how the format's shaping because it all kind of falls into place. And then afterwards, I would like to talk about where I think regionals are going to go next. And with that being said, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to get right back to it. All right, y'all, taking a quick moment to shout out the sponsors for this video. First up is Mystic TCG, a store based in Missouri that sells all sorts of TCG product, even more than what you see featured here on this page. They also buy singles, collections, and prize cards, so make sure you actually catch them out in their store in Missouri at an event, or even on their Facebook, just to be able to see the events here, but also ask them what they're up to and what they're looking for in terms of vending. You can also use the code UNIXTCG to get discounts off your pre-orders as well as orders, so make sure you get your TCG product while it's hot. Then you have Eclipse Cards and Hobby based out of Texas, and if that sounds familiar, they did sponsor me with a box of Fusion World Set 1. But as you can see on this page, there is a plethora of TCG products that they are actually having for sale at their establishment. You can also even buy things that aren't just TCG products. As you can see on the screen right here, they hold their own locals, they hold their own events, and they are going out to more and more events. You can actually check their Facebook to see their schedule, as well as call and ask about their vending list. And at the checkout for their website, you can use the code UNI10X to actually get percentages off your pre-orders or your orders. So go check it out as well. And we're always up to all sorts of things in Universe X. So you can go down the description and check the link tree to find out about my other channels, my Twitch, or any other avenues that I'm creating content on. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can always go down to any description on any video and find my Amazon affiliate links. These products here will differ from video to video to cater to the audience in question, but it's just very easy to see something that you may like or be interested in, open it up and choose the style and or color that'll work for you. All proceeds will give kickbacks to the channel, so there'll be some direct support, and I'll always appreciate the help from you guys. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. Yeah, my sponsors, pretty cool. Just to let you guys know, soon set 4 pre-releases should be up, so make sure you look out for those. I'll do a big announcement when they do go up, and then there's plenty of OP product and as well as other card games up on this TCG, as well as Eclipse Cards and Hobbies, so check on that. But for now, let's get back to the content. So yeah, overall looking at it, yellow wasn't well positioned because we thought that Jiren would be popular. Yes, there was a lot of Vegeta running around, but it's all about these picks and counter picks and counter picks, because we all knew Vegeta was running around, which means a lot of people were on androids. But if a lot of people are on androids, that means that Jiren would have an uphill battle versus Vegeta, but a very good battle versus androids, which would spell death for particularly yellow decks going through, unless they dodged all the Jirens. Outside of that, you literally have the fact that black on average doesn't perform that well into blue, or so we thought, but what it does do is have a very good matchup versus green, which I am happy to see that happening, because I thought that maybe I was wrong, but I initially said that, like, just looking at these cards, I was like, this does not look like a good matchup versus just how green works. But now we're here and I'm seeing that happen. But the thing is, though, you have a bunch of decks in this format that currently have outs depending on builds as well as colors. Like, black does not play well against Beerus because Beerus will remove black's cards almost every single time. You will not be able to keep anything on the field next to a Beerus, and so your 1 to 2 plays per turn, 1.5 plays a turn, are generally just going to be met with immediate removal. So that's rough, right? And then you have Beerus over here getting weeded out by lots of blue decks because it does not perform well against blue. It's like kind of a 50-50, but if the build is right, then it's very, very not fun for Beerus. You have androids, which can take L's from Vegeta, can take L's from black for sure, and can take L's from Beerus, but could also high roll all of them. So what we essentially saw was, by the end of each day, because we definitely saw plenty of things, going over the tables on both days, I saw yellow Vegetas, I saw Jiren, I saw GT Goku, I saw, of course, blue Vegeta, I saw Angel Ku, I saw Goku Black. There was a point where there were 2 Goku Blacks in the top 6 tables in day 2. I saw pretty much everything. Beerus was there, androids were there, I saw Gohan. Gohan actually did get an invite and a cereal. So basically, there was a lot of stuff, but by the end of the tables, what was mostly there was blue Vegeta, green androids, and Bardock, making a very, 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 very nice triangle. Vegeta in this triangle is an aggressive tempo deck that is able to protect itself fairly well being a blue deck, and then when you finally do push into Awakening, you got to deal with an even different monster. And so looking at all that, blue is, I think, the de facto top dog. However, blue, if it doesn't progress its game plan and hammer green as hard as it needs to early, green will overtake blue with its Broly cards, and that's going to be the bane of that. So that's where you have that heal. And then you have black that plays well into green because you have the early game Bardocks, you have the early game pressure, and you have the fact that you'll have a Super Saiyan 3 out on curve, and they will not be able to touch that unless they see Big Bang or get to 8 energy and can play Broly. They do have the 5-drop Goku, and that's way more important now. But in terms of momentum, when you play that 5-drop Gohan, you're generally cutting off a turn where you normally would be ramping, and it's worth it for the secret rare. But you just have to understand that you'll be losing some momentum against that. So then you have blue into black. If you're built correctly and you're playing correctly, black should not be able to damage you very early in the game unless they get out of Bardock, and then you have removal for pretty much everything they play on curve against it. You have the 4-drop Gohan for their 3-drop Bardock and whatever they played before it. You've got your 5-drop Goku for your to be able to bounce back or to tuck a secret rare. You can bounce back to the hand with 5-drop Vegeta, or Vegeto, but I'd rather not. There's a lot of good stuff that you have for it, but those are the triangles. That's the main triangle of the meta right there. Blue Vegeta, black Bardock, and green androids. And I'm thinking that that's actually pretty cool, because not only do you have the triangle, but you have other decks that can slide into that meta. A Beerus deck is going to perform well enough against green, but also very well into red. A yellow deck is going to potentially perform very well into androids, very well into black, but maybe not so much into blue unless you see 2 Majin Buus fairly early. A Jiren deck is going to do very well against black, very well against green, but can still be beaten via 2-drop Pan, via Big Bang Big Bang attack, and another removal effect. But all these things have their checks and balances. So right now, I think we are sitting inside of a format where most of the decks that are competitive can top. If we were to take anything like the Beeruses, the Jirens, the Yellow Freezes, the Goku Blacks in top. I even saw Trunks at the top tables like 5 rounds or 6 rounds into a tournament on day 1. So realistically, I think if you're competitive, you can top. However, you have the defined meta trio that is going to be a big thing. So a lot of people are going to be going to their store tournaments if they haven't already, their store regionals, and a lot more people are also going to be over here at the Ultimate Cups that are going to come back, where they're going to be giving away the Caulifla for top 8 instead of the Frieza that we got last time, and the Vegeto for top 1, the winner, like they were doing for the Vegeta last time. So we're going to start kind of diving more into the format, because I think each deck is going to have some nice things they can tweak. We're going to get some more gameplay videos with the meta. Make sure you guys are happy with that. But let me know what you guys want to see on this channel. I just wanted to discuss right here how this weekend did pan out, establishing a brand new trio. And it's very interesting because most of us would have thought that it was red, green, and blue to be the triangle of this format, not black, blue, and green. I do think that Vegeta and Android are still de facto the best list. I think that Bardock coming into his own is going to edge green out, but I do think that it's a matter of testing and tech choice between blue and black, not the fact that blue has a good matchup against black. I still think that is blue said that blue has a bad matchup against black. I think that it's still very uphill for black, but I think that this tournament showed that a lot of people didn't know how to handle certain things. Like, for instance, the gentleman that I deck profiled for yellow, he did an excellent job. If you ever got to watch him, you saw how he masterfully managed the Bulmas to make sure that he always had the cards in hand. He was outplaying his opponents. He was baiting with death balls. I just saw him play very optimally the entire day. However, what I did also see is that he could maybe attack with a Majin Buu early, and players didn't seem to assess how to deal with a yellow deck once they start turning Majin Buu sideways before they are where they need to be in terms of life or awakening. I just think a lot of people still need a little bit more practice. The fact that black is able to do what it does, I don't think any deck should be built without removal for the secret rares and the Bardocks. You cannot let a Bardock stay on board on turn 3 for them then to land a secret rare or a second Bardock. You can't let a secret rare stay on the board for them to draw another secret rare. If your deck doesn't have outs for that 4-drop or Bardock at any given turn, you probably built it wrong, because those 2 cards will run away with games themselves. Black is still very, very linear. It's just also powerful. So you have to kind of make sure that your deck is ready for it. So now I'm going to be wondering how black is going to progress. And of course, it's probably going to be the next deck that I have gameplay videos on. So I hope you guys are ready for that. But I do think that black is still fairly linear. And I think that I'm not quite sure if it'll live past people actually considering it a valid threat. Because I think it was a dark horse that a lot of people came to the conclusion on that it could do work. Like, shout outs to the local homie Doug who won a cereal on both days. Like, shout out to him. But like, I just don't think that a lot of people have assessed black with enough weight. Like I said, I've never thought that it was too big of a challenge for me, but I also know that black scared me from the get-go, so I always made my decks in mind, even when it was not seeming like, you know, I'd use a card against androids or blue. It's not in there for androids and blue. It's in there so I don't get rolled by black when they're on a roll. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys feel about this format. If you guys need anything, you can go on to my Twitter, which should be on my link tree, or you can go onto the community tab for this YouTube channel and you can check the round by round updates, as well as the top 16 for day 1. I'm still waiting for day 2. I think that like that should be a whole thing that you can use as a resource. I try to give as much coverage as possible, but I do like how set 3 is evolving and shifting, even as it's been out for half of its lifespan before we get to set 4, it seems. Because it just came out in August, we're already in September, getting closer and closer to October. Set 4 comes out in November. So we're about half of the life cycle, and the format's still evolving and shifting. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you guys want. I am this Friday about to have my first Patreon, just round robin, just playtest session. I'll just sit there. I'll have multiple decks ready. I'll probably build them for webcam and on the sim. So whatever you want to play, we can play. And if you're in the Patreon, by tier, we'll line up and we'll just ram some games throughout Friday night. I'm going to try that for the first time. And then again, speaking of Patreon, these are all going up on the Patreon for giveaway, as well as other prizes like packs of 10 code cards for set 3, gold Bardocks, lots of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Make sure you check out the other quads, Universe X. Love you all. Later.